Mr. Chairman. Mr. Attorney General, I wanted to ask a few questions about the anti-weaponization fund. We know that the department has agreed to pause this effort until at least June 12th. I wanted to ask what your plans were for the fund after June 12th.
So thank you. So look, we're not moving forward with the fund. You're right that there's a date that in the case in the Eastern District of Virginia in June, but we are not moving forward with the fund, period. The reasons for the fund is something that President Trump talked about for a long time, which is the fact that there were a lot of people in this country who had their government weaponized against them. The reasons for the fund, I think, it remain as important as they were before, but we are not moving forward with the fund.
Oh, not moving forward ever?
Correct.
Oh, there's no more fund then?
Well, to the extent there was a fund, and remember, the fund wasn't set up yet. There were no commissioners named. There was no claimants brought anything in front of. There was no claims made yet. So yes, we're not moving forward with the fund.
You and Associate Attorney General Woodward signed earlier documents regarding the settlement and this fund. Would both of you now sign and release documents reversing the DOJ's position on the fund?
We're not moving forward with the fund. I'm not sure what that means to sign documents reversing. There's nothing to reverse. We're not moving forward with the fund.
We know about the court case, the decision, when we've heard press reports, obviously. But is there any way that you could put this in writing? I don't know if there are other ways that you could use another vehicle to move forward with a similar fund or similar intention. And we just want to reassure the American public. We've heard from both Republicans and Democrats, constituents and Americans across the country about this fund. And I think they would love to be reassured that this fund will not progress.
I'm telling you it's not. I guess I'm not sure. I'm not trying to be flippant with you. I'm just saying I'm telling you it's not. I'm not. There's we put out a statement yesterday. There's been an injunction, a temporary injunction filed in EDVA. There's litigation in D.C. There's litigation in the Southern District of Florida. But notwithstanding what we do in those litigations and defending our rights and making sure our rights are protected, we're not moving forward with the fund.
Okay. Yeah, the statement I thought was just about until June 12th. So if it won't progress after June 12th, that's great to hear, and we hope to see this in writing.
What you just watched is the part of the hearing the senator came to build a permanent record around, not a dramatic confrontation, not a moment of collapse, but something more durable than either of those things. A commitment, under oath, on the record, in a congressional hearing. And the reason that commitment matters is not what Blanche said. It is what he was not willing to put in writing. Read that exchange carefully, because the surface of it looks simple. A senator asks about the anti-weaponization fund. Blanche says the fund is not moving forward. The senator asks if that means never. Blanche says correct. The senator asks for it in writing. Blanche says he is not sure what that means. The senator says they hope to see it in writing. Blanche says the fund is not moving forward. On its face, that looks like a clean answer. The fund is dead. The senator got what she came for. The exchange is over. Except it is not that simple, and the transcript shows exactly why. Start with the sequence. The senator asked what the plans were for the fund after June 12th. That is a specific date. The department had agreed to pause the fund until at least June 12th. That is the language she used. She was not asking whether the fund was paused. She was asking what happens when the pause ends. Blanche's answer did not address the date. He said the fund is not moving forward, period. He said the reasons for the fund remain as important as they were before. And then he said the fund is not moving forward. Read those two sentences together. The reasons remain important. The fund is not moving forward. That is not the same as saying the fund was a bad idea. That is not the same as saying the administration has abandoned the concept. That is saying the vehicle is dead. The destination is still valid. The senator heard that. She pressed immediately. Not moving forward ever? Blanche said correct. She said, then there is no more fund. And then Blanche said something that the transcript contains, and that deserves careful attention. He said, well, to the extent there was a fund. To the extent there was a fund. That phrase is doing significant work. The fund was announced. Senior officials signed documents related to it. The Associate Attorney General's signature is on those documents. The settlement was structured around it. But when the senator asked for a commitment that the fund is permanently dead, Blanche reached for a qualifier, to the extent there was a fund, as if the existence of the thing being abandoned is itself in question. He then added that no commissioners had been named, no claimants had come forward, no claims had been made. He was saying there was nothing to kill because nothing had fully come to life yet. That is a legally defensible position. It is also the position of someone who wants to preserve the maximum amount of optionality in how the commitment is characterized. The senator then asked a specific and consequential question. She noted that Blanche and Associate Attorney General Woodward had signed earlier documents regarding the settlement and the fund. She asked, would both of you now sign and release documents reversing the DOJ's position on the fund? Blanche said he was not sure what that means. He said there is nothing to reverse. He said they are not moving forward with the fund. Read that response carefully. The senator asked for a document, a written reversal, a piece of paper with signatures on it that says the DOJ's position has changed. Blanche responded with the same verbal commitment he had already made 3 times. We are not moving forward without addressing the request for documentation. He did not say, yes, we will put it in writing. He did not say, no, we will not put it in writing. He said, I am not sure what that means, and there is nothing to reverse. Those 2 things, I am not sure what that means, and there is nothing to reverse, are in the transcript alongside the senator's request for written documentation. They do not answer the request. They explain why, in Blanche's view, the request does not apply. That is a different thing. The senator then named something that the committee has been hearing from constituents across the political spectrum. She said both Republicans and Democrats, Americans across the country, have been asking about this fund. She said they would love to be reassured that it will not progress. She asked whether there was any way Blanche could put the commitment in writing, or whether there was some other vehicle that could be used to advance a similar fund with a similar intention. That last phrase is the most important sentence the senator said. Another vehicle, a similar fund with a similar intention. She was not asking whether this specific fund under this specific name is dead. She was asking whether the concept compensating individuals who believe the government was weaponized against them could be revived through a different mechanism. And she was asking Blanche to rule that out. Blanche did not rule it out. He said he is telling her it is not moving forward. He referenced a statement put out the day before. He listed active litigation, an injunction in the District of D.C., litigation in the Southern District of Florida. He said that notwithstanding what the department does in those litigations and defending its rights, the fund is not moving forward. Read that structure carefully. He is defending litigation rights simultaneously with saying the fund is dead. A department that is actively defending its rights in litigation related to a fund it says is dead is a department that has not fully closed the door on the legal posture underlying that fund. The litigation continues, the rights are being defended, the fund is not moving forward. Those 3 things coexist in the transcript. The senator's closing was measured and precise. She said she had understood the prior statement to be limited to the period until June 12th. She said if it would not progress after June 12th, that is great to hear. And she said, we hope to see this in writing. That sentence is the last thing in the exchange. The senator yielded after saying it. The request for written documentation of a permanent commitment, made after 3 verbal repetitions of that commitment, after a direct request for countersigning documents, after an inquiry about alternative vehicles, was acknowledged and not answered. 2 things can be true at the same time. Blanche's position that there is nothing to reverse because no fund was formally established, no commissioners were named, no claims were processed, is a legally coherent position. A government cannot formally reverse something that was never formally created. His repeated verbal commitment that the fund is not moving forward is a real statement made under oath in a congressional hearing. And his acknowledgement that litigation is ongoing to defend the department's rights does not necessarily mean the fund will be revived. It may mean the department is defending the legal principle that it had the authority to create the fund without intending to exercise that authority again. Both of those are reasonable positions. What the senator was asking, however, was not about the legal status of the fund's formation. It was about permanence. She was asking for a written commitment that would be harder to walk back than 3 verbal repetitions of "we are not moving forward." She was asking because the committee had heard from constituents, Republican and Democratic, who wanted something more than a statement issued in the context of active litigation. She was asking because the original statement the public had seen was characterized, at least by her reading, as limited to June 12th. And she was asking because the possibility of another vehicle for a similar fund with a similar intention had not been closed. Blanche gave her the verbal commitment. He did not give her the document. The most overlooked part of this exchange is what the senator did not do. She did not challenge the verbal commitment. She did not accuse Blanche of bad faith. She did not escalate. She said, if it won't progress after June 12th, that is great to hear, and we hope to see this in writing. And then she yielded. That is the move of someone who understands that hope to see this in writing is itself a statement in the official record of a congressional hearing. It is a marker. It says, a committee member asked for written documentation of this commitment and did not receive it. That is now in the transcript alongside the commitment itself. And the gap between the verbal commitment and the written documentation the senator requested is also in the transcript, permanently, for every future proceeding in which the status of this fund becomes relevant. The transcript now contains every question the senator asked. It contains Blanche's confirmation that the fund is not moving forward, said 3 times in different formulations, each slightly different from the last. It contains to the extent there was a fund. It contains the active litigation Blanche named while simultaneously declaring the fund dead. It contains the request for written documentation and the response that was not a yes. It contains the senator's final line, we hope to see this in writing, and the silence that followed it before she yielded. Those words travel into every future question about whether the fund or a successor to it ever materializes. They travel into the litigation Blanche named the injunction in D.C., the case in the Southern District of Florida, and into what those proceedings reveal about the legal posture the department maintained while saying the fund was not moving forward. They travel into the question of another vehicle for a similar fund with a similar intention, the exact phrase the senator used, and into whether anything resembling that vehicle ever appears. They travel into the written document that was requested and not provided. So here is where this exchange leaves us, and it is genuinely two-sided. Was the senator conducting careful and targeted oversight, extracting a sworn commitment that the fund is permanently dead, establishing on the record that written documentation was requested and not received, and creating a marker that makes any future revival of the concept harder to execute without consequences? Or was she pressing for a written reversal of something that legally did not exist, creating a procedural demand that cannot be meaningfully satisfied, and extending the political life of a controversy that the department had already verbally resolved? Was Blanche giving a real and durable commitment, one that will be in the congressional record alongside his name and his role for as long as that record exists, while correctly noting that there is no legal mechanism to reverse what was never formally established? Or was he giving the minimum verbal commitment required to end the exchange while preserving maximum legal and institutional optionality, declining to put anything in writing and continuing to defend the litigation rights that keep the underlying legal question alive? 2 different stories, same hearing, same official record. Tell me in the comments which version you walked away believing. If you stayed this long, subscribe. The written document has not arrived, the litigation is still active, and the record is watching both.